Hi guys, my name is Elizabeth Miller and I am hosting a parent training on functions of behavior, extinction, and replacement behaviors. I know that sounds like a lot. We're going to work through it. I'm going to explain it all so you guys can understand it and how to understand this with your child or someone you care for. So Cooper, who is the author of this wonderful book, lists out 4 functions of behaviors. They are sensory or automatically maintained behaviors. So they feel good. People engage in these behaviors because they feel good. Another function of behavior is escape. So people engage in these behaviors because they want to escape something aversive, something that they don't like. So maybe you experience this with your child who really does not like schoolwork. So they will do everything in their power to not do their schoolwork. And if it is reinforced, if you are letting them not do their schoolwork, then that's going to continue. Another function of behavior is attention. So can be good attention, bad attention. Maybe they engage in cursing behavior and you don't like them to curse. So you yell at them. But if they want that attention, no matter how you give attention, is reinforcing. So we really need to, in changing your behavior in any way when they engage in those behaviors is giving attention. So if you're sitting on the couch and they start doing something you don't want them to do, and you get up and stand in the doorway with your back to them, that's attention. Because you changed what you were doing, they're going to notice that. And the 4th function of behavior is access to tangibles. So that means they engage in certain behaviors because they want them. They want those items. So if you have a kid that is non-vocal and they don't have a way to communicate yet, they're still fairly young, you haven't established a way for them to communicate with you. So they start banging their head on the floor because they want something. And then you give it to them, you reinforce their behavior. That's how they're going to communicate with you from now on when they want an item. So those are our 4 functions of behaviors. Cooper also says we should define behaviors based on their function over what they look like to help understand the behavior in question. That's called a target behavior. So there's also a couple articles that I will share with you. I will print out or I will email them to you guys, or I can print them out and hand deliver them to you. But Ingram, Lewis Palmer, and Sugai did an experiment to decide if an FBA, functional behavior assessment, so they did a functional behavior assessment with some children, and then they figured out the function of that behavior. And then they put in some interventions based on the function of the behavior. They also put in interventions not based on the function. So something just willy-nilly that they came up with, not addressing the target behavior based on the function. And their results were that the function-based intervention was far or better. They had way better improvements with these children with those interventions. So the function of a behavior is huge. you need to understand, why is this person engaging in this behavior? Do they do it because it feels good? That's where you see a lot of the stereotypy, so hand flapping or ear flicking, anything like that, humming because it feels good, or they like the sound that it creates. Is it because they don't want to do it? They want to escape that aversive situation. We all engage in behaviors based on these functions. We just need to teach our children how to engage in appropriate behaviors based on these functions. And that's where replacement behaviors come in. So a replacement behavior, you want to be based, Cooper says, to base on the same function. So first we have to start with, what is the function of this behavior? And then to be able to put a replacement behavior in, we need it to have the same function, but also be appropriate. So if they don't want to do their schoolwork, I'm just using that example because it's the easiest and it's very common for school-aged kids, very common. So an appropriate behavior, instead of yelling and screaming or whatever their inappropriate behavior is, would be asking for a break. Can I take a 5-minute break? Yeah, if you're going to ask me appropriately, absolutely, you can take a break and come back to it. And it's a aversive situation. It may take them longer to get it done, but they engaged in an appropriate behavior to escape that work. So that would be the replacement behavior. Before we can just expect them to do that, we have to teach them the function, or teach them that replacement behavior. So we can't just, I don't expect you to do something you've never done before, or in a novel situation. So we need to prompt it when you start seeing behaviors that lead up to the big blowout, whatever it looks like. Prompt them to ask for a break. Model it for them, tell them they can ask for a break, have a break card that they can point to. Anything like that would be a good way to teach this replacement behavior. And then we would slowly fade those out. So hopefully they are just engaging in that replacement behavior by themselves instead of engaging in those inappropriate behaviors that we wanted to decrease. So we increase the appropriate and decrease the inappropriate, which is what we want with a replacement behavior. We also are going to talk about extinction. So that is the decrease of the inappropriate behaviors. Extinction is defined as giving zero reinforcement to the target behavior. So really, really easy one to talk about is attention extinction. So a child is engaging in yelling and screaming because they want someone to pay attention to them, whether it's yelling at them to stop, whether they just want you to look at them, you want them to acknowledge, they want you to acknowledge they are doing something inappropriate. So in extinction, you give zero attention to that. You are going to continue to do whatever you were doing. You're not going to move and turn your back to them, because that is providing attention. So if you are engaging in something I do not want to give you attention for, by me doing this, that is going to change. I just acknowledge to you that you are doing something inappropriate. And that's that's giving attention. So it's the hardest thing to do. If I can only imagine as a parent, I'm not a parent myself, but I've been in ABA for almost 3 years now, for 3 years now. And it is one of the hardest things to do especially when a child is yelling and screaming in your face and saying all kinds of curse words that they should not be saying. They shouldn't even know these words yet. And you can't do anything different than what you were doing. So with extinction, you almost always will see an extinction first. I have a photo for you. Let me see. That I will also attach to an email. Here is a graph of an extinction burst. So this peak right here, so this is their normal behavior. This is where it normally is. We put in intervention. Their behavior gets worse. They're going to engage in more of that inappropriate behavior before it decreases. And that's called an extinction burst. So you cannot say that an intervention is not working after 2 days of trying it because it's getting worse. That's expected to happen. For so long, they have engaged in these behaviors. They're still engaging in these behaviors because it's been reinforced in some way. So with an extinction burst, they're going to just escalate whatever that is that they're doing. So they're yelling and screaming. They're going to yell and scream longer. They're going to yell and scream louder. They're going to get in your face. Anything like that, it's got to get worse before they finally realize, whether consciously or not, that you are no longer going to reinforce that behavior. So with that, we all have to be on the same page. So if at the center we are implementing attention extinction for yelling, but at home it's being reinforced with a parent telling them to stop, walking away, letting them escape. So it can have more than one function. If that yelling is really attention maintained and you are giving it attention at home, but we are not giving it attention in the center, then it's likely not going to be effective for that kid. We need to all be on the same page and all be implementing these reduction interventions together. We need to be a team. And if it's not an issue for you, if it's a behavior that we are tracking and trying to decrease, but at home, it doesn't bother you, or you just saying, it's not important right now, as the parent, you have the right to tell us that. And then maybe we'll put our intervention on hold, or we can discuss why maybe it is a problem. So why it's not appropriate, and we do have a way to teach appropriate behavior. So we need to work on this as a team to get those target behaviors on extinction, providing zero reinforcement for the inappropriate behavior. But we need to make sure we are providing a lot of reinforcement for the replacement behavior. And all of these together are going to be based on the function of that behavior. And it could be more than one function. They could be yelling and screaming at you. I'm just going to keep going with that example because I've used it throughout this whole training. They're going to yell and scream at you because they want your attention. But also maybe they're yelling and screaming at you because they want to escape their schoolwork. So it could be both of those things. And we have to figure out good replacement behaviors for them to engage in. that hit both of those functions. Some behaviors have all four functions of the behavior, all four functions of behavior intertwined into them. So those are the more difficult ones to put on extinction, but it can be done. I have a couple more articles that I want to discuss with you based on function, and then we'll wrap this up. So Geiger, Carr, and LeBlanc wrote an article based on escape maintained behaviors. And they really just discussed kind of what we've already discussed. They hit the nail on the head when they said the interventions need to be individualized. So maybe it works for one kid, this intervention works for one kid, but it doesn't work for another kid. So we really want to make sure that we have the right function, number one, but also we're individualizing these interventions. So those are super important things to remember, that they really just spend on a whole article drilling that in. It's so important. And then the other article that I wanted to discuss with you is from behavior management. And it talks about, it's an article written by Allstott and Allstott. So this article really just talks about behavior management techniques. So reactive strategies, which we need to have in place, but we also need to talk about proactive strategies. What can we do to prevent this behavior from happening before it happens? So that's also going to be different for every single child, every single person. But this whole article I will provide to you talks about reactive and proactive strategies and how they can work together to decrease inappropriate behaviors. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them for you. And let's work as a team to figure out those functions. If you cannot figure it out, let's talk about how you can figure it out. We can do that as a team. I can show you what I have come up with. I can show you how to do it in your home, whatever you need, so we can find the function, because maybe it's different at home than it is at the center. That's a good possibility. So we want to work together as a team, implement interventions as a team, find replacement behaviors, appropriate replacement behaviors as a team, something that is manageable for you as a parent. We don't want to overwhelm you. I understand you all have lives as well outside of, you work, you have kids, maybe you have more than one kid, and you have to be able to pay attention to the other child. You're a mom, you're a dad, you're a sister, you're a brother, whatever. You have other things in your life besides this one child and this one intervention. So we want to make the replacement behavior and the intervention, extinction intervention, work for you. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I will talk to you all later.